Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Myself, Dr. Sumeet Patil, and I make videos upon English literature. So today I am going to talk about the succeeding period of English literature, wherein in the previous lecture or in the previous video, I spoke about the Romantic Age, which is also called as the Romanticism Age in English literature, which started from the year 1798 and it ended in the 1830s or 1837. Now, talking about today's video, I am going to focus upon the succeeding age of the Romantic Age, which is also called as the Victorian Age. And now why it is called as the Victorian Age? It is termed or it is known as Victorian Age because the most famous queen in the history of English literature starts ruling on 20th of June 1837. And now there are so many different things which has happened in the United Kingdom, and I would be going in detail in this video. So I would like to urge all of you to keep tuned and don't skip this video, because there are so many important points which I would be highlighting and which I would be explaining in detail in this video. So let's start. So the first and the foremost point is in this period, that is 1837, when the Queen Victoria, she sits on the throne, the first and the foremost thing, it is the most important thing which was ruling or which was prevailing since ages was that is slavery. That was banned in the year 1838. As soon as the Queen Victoria, she comes to the throne, the slavery was abolished on 1st of August 1838. This is the first historical change which has happened in the reign or during the reign of Queen Victoria. Now, coming to the next important point which has happened in the year 1842 is the income tax was introduced in England, or there were several rules which was imposed in the year 1842. And next important point is in the same year, September 1942, Irish potato famine begins. That is, now here I would like to mention one more important point, that is Queen Victoria, she is not only ruling United Kingdom, but she is also ruling Ireland. Okay, this is also important point. And during this period, the major social and major political changes, industrial revolution which has happened, and during this point of time, there is the mills which we have seen in the Romantic Age, which was about they were established in this period. They have gained its momentum and it has reached its peak. And what has happened is, due to the industrial revolution, people from the rural areas, they are migrating to the urban areas. And what has happened in the urban areas is the population of the urban areas has been doubled. That is, from 2 million, it has been doubled or more than that it has happened. And now when people are migrated from rural to urban areas, in the urban areas what is happening is unhygienic, there were so many diseases which were spread. Why? Because slums were built, and these people, they were the poor peasants or poor people who migrated for the search of employment. And hence several people, that is the lowest strata of the people, they were facing numerous problems. And coming to the next point which has happened is on 28th of January 1854, the Crimean War begins. And now this is the Crimean War which has begun, and as well as in the upcoming years this war has been prevailing. And in the year 1859, 24th of November 1859, the most important work which has been published, that is Charles Darwin's Origin of Species, wherein in this book, this is very seminal book in the history of English, not only England but throughout the globe, wherein Charles Darwin has pointed out rightly how and where and so many different types of species are dwelling and living since ages. And in this book, which was published in the year 1859, as right now I have pointed out, so This is very seminal book. And coming to the next important point, that is 1869, that is 17th of November, the political, or I should say the geographical change which has happened, that Suez Canal which has been opened. And why this Suez Canal this has been opened? Because when the Britishers, they used to come all the way crossing the whole Africa, coming towards the Southeast Asia, or when they were about to control or about to rule India and its part. So there was a Suez Canal which was built in the Middle East, and this is the shortest route to come from Europe, and they made a Suez Canal, and they directly come towards the India, or towards the Asia. This was the highlight. And then coming to the next important point, which has happened in the year 1880, it is the thing which I think Queen Victoria has done very rightfully, and people are fortunate that education was made compulsory for the children below 10. And previous to this point, this is the year 2nd of August 1880, and in the year 1870, August 1870, there is also one more great change which has happened in the society, or social change, that was tenants and their rights which was given. Now tenants means those people who migrated in search of jobs from rural areas to the urban areas, wherever they were living, they were given the opportunity to dwell on that same place, as well as women were given the right to obtain or to control, to have the control over the property which was ruled, or which was owned by their parents or their better half. So this was the thing which has happened in the year 1870. And in the 1880, I just now told you, education was made compulsory. And now the succeeding period is the period when Queen Victoria is about to pass down her legacy towards the next age. But this was the whole period. Which I gave you idea about the historical change, the political change, and the social changes. And coming to the next point, that is coming to the next point, that is now I would be focusing upon the characteristics of the Victorian age. Now the characteristic is, now here what has happened is, as I told you, that in the Romantic age, what has happened is people focused. Now I would be highlighting about the literature point of view, that is in the Romantic age people were focusing upon the poems, but in this age people started to write down novels. And I would be giving in detail about the novelists, about the poets also. There are also very few or selected poets who wrote down poems which were very famous after they passed on. And novelists, there are great novelists which has wherein they have portrayed the social life, and as well as there is a miscellaneous prose. And coming to the next point, that is this feature, there are also some features of the period which I would like to highlight, that is there is transition, or there is change in this period. Now which change? I told you that is in the Romantic age people focused upon the poems and the love towards the nature, but here, as there is Industrial Revolution, people focused upon the society, or rather than that, people focused upon employment and its opportunities. And London became the most important city in Europe, wherein I told you that population of London, it has expanded from 2 million to 6 million, and there was a shift from ownership of land to modern urban economy. And why it has happened? Because of the impact of industrialization. And now what has happened because of industrialization is, there are people which wherein, if I talk about the lowest strata, they were gaining, or they were earning money, but they were not earning as much as those people who had their industries. And here, in this point of time, in the reign of Queen Victoria, England became the world's foremost imperial power. That is, I told you in the previous videos. If you haven't watched my previous videos, go watch. I have given the link below in my description box. So here, during this point of time, England or the Queen, she has it's her power over India and several other colonies when they were ruling. And here, Victorian people, now apart from that, Victorian people suffered from anxiety and the religious debate. There were also religious debates such as evangelical movement emphasized spiritual transformation of the individual by conversion and a moral Christian life, as well as the view of the life was identical with dissenters, and the high church emphasized the importance of tradition, ritual and authority, and the Oxford movement, which was led by Newman, and the broad church, which was open to the modern ideas. And coming to the next point, that is in the mid-Victorian period, what has happened is, that is mid-Victorian period means 1848 to 1870. This was the time of prosperity, as well as the time of improvement, as well as the time of stability, and as well as the type of optimism. And coming to the next point, that is this kind of literature which was dwelled during the reign of Queen Victoria. Now, why it is called as the Victorian literature? Because it was the literature which was termed related to the Queen of this age. And coming to the next point, that is literacy, publication and reading. By the end of the century, literature or literacy was almost universal. Why? Because in this period, the printing or the paper became very cheap, and the books were published as compared to the previous ages. And now the next point is compulsory national education. As I told you, in the year 1880, it was made that the children should get education. And why children should get education? Because in this age, small children or younger children, they were at times they were compelled to work in the industries because they didn't got laborers. So children are also given or they were compelled to work in the industries. Henceforth, what has happened is I should say Queen Victoria has imposed that children should get education, and there were technological also advances because industrial industries were built, and expansion of reading, as well as in this period newspapers, periodicals and books were published, so people started learning. And in this period novels, as I told you, novels were written enormously, and short fiction was also written, as well as children's literature was also written. And coming to the next point, that is right now I would be highlighting the poets, then the novelists, and then the miscellaneous prose. The most important person or the most important writer of this period is Charles Dickens in the novels, and Lord Alfred Tennyson in the poem or in the poetry. So now I would be giving you highlight about Lord Alfred Tennyson, Robert Browning, Matthew Arnold, then Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and now I would be giving you a bifurcation or the distinguish between the Romantic Age and the Victorian poetry. Now, in the Romantic poetry, there was I told you that they focused upon nature, and their themes were pastoral also. But Victorian poetry, it focused upon basically they focused upon the life of industries or the life of London, which was portrayed. And coming to the poets, now I would be highlighting about the Victorian poets. They were Lord Alfred Tennyson. The first and the foremost name is Lord Alfred Tennyson, who was born in the year 1809 and he died in the year 1892. And the next point is Robert Browning, and he is also very famous. Why Robert Browning is famous? Because of his technique which he used, that is dramatic monologue. And Elizabeth Barrett Browning, after that Matthew Arnold, he is also called as the critic of his age. And Edward Fitzgerald, Arthur Hugh Clough, Henry Wordsworth Longfellow, then D.G. Rossetti. D.G. Rossetti Dante Gabriel Rossetti. He was born in the year 1828 and he died in the year 1882, wherein these people with D.G. Rossetti, they were people who worked for the pre-Raphaelite movement. And apart from D.G. Rossetti, his sister, that is Christina Rossetti, she also wrote few poems, and they were very famous. And now coming to the next point, that is novelists. Early Victorian novel, which was which highlighted the social and humanitarian problems, that is the problems which people were facing. Now, which kind of problem people were facing? That is unhealthy, unhygienic, and several diseases which were spread due to the people which migrated from the rural to the urban areas. And now here the most important person is Charles Dickens, who was born in the year 1812 and he died in the year 1870, wherein his first and the foremost novel was the Pickwick Papers, then Great Expectations, and the most important or his autobiographical novel is Charles Dickens's David Copperfield, wherein his life he has portrayed or he has highlighted what all things he has to face from his childhood, because his parents were no more when he was living with his aunt, and there are so many things which he has highlighted very lucidly. So you must read that David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. And apart from Charles Dickens, there was another novelist who was William Makepeace Thackeray, who was born in the year 1811 and he died in the year 1863. And apart from William Makepeace Thackeray, there were three sisters who were as famous as Charles Dickens. No doubt that they wrote only few novels. Charlotte Bronte, these three sisters are Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, and Anne Bronte. Now these Charlotte, Emily, and Anne Bronte, their novels are Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights, and Anne Bronte's The Tenant of the Windfall Hall. So these three novels they have only wrote, and in this novel what they have portrayed is, they portrayed about the life which women suffered and how they used to dwell or how they used to live with meagre or few wherein they had they have overcome so many obstacles in the society. And apart from that, there was also one more great writer or one more woman novelist who changed her name. That is she is Mary Ann Evans. Her novels are Middlemarch, Adam Bede, and Mill on the Floors. But what has happened? Why Mary Ann Evans has changed her name to George Eliot? Because this was the period when people that is the people were not that is publishers were not allowing women to write down novels, or rather than writing, they were not allowing women to get their novels published. And after that, George Meredith, now George Meredith, she was born in the year 1828, and apart from George Meredith, now coming to the next point, that is Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, Anne Bronte, I told you. Then comes the next two important writers, that is Thomas Hardy and H.G. Wells. Now Thomas Hardy's Jude the Obscure is very famous, and Tess of the Ubervilles is famous. And the science fiction which was wrote or which was also coming to its height, there are few writers which I would be highlighting. The first writer is H.G. Wells. His Time Machine is famous, which was published in the year 1895, as well as The Invisible Man is also published by or is also written by H.G. Wells. And coming to the scientific novelist, that is Charles Darwin. I told you previously his Origin of Species, which was published in the year 1859, as well as Thomas Henry Huxley is also a point, or is also a person from scientific novelist. And historians, there are three people who are writing or who pen down about history, that is Alexander Kinglake, John Green, Edward Freeman, and William Prescott. So these are the historian writers. And novelist, as I told you, the great novelist is Charles Dickens, William Thackeray, Emily Anne and Charlotte Bronte, George Meredith, and Mary Ann Evans. And the next point that is I would be highlighting is prose. Now here in the prose, that is Thomas Carlyle, Thomas Babington Macaulay, John Ruskin, Ralph Emerson, and this is also a point of time wherein American literature was also flourishing at the same point of time, when here when in England people were focusing on Victorian era or Victorian literature. Walter Pater, then Nathaniel Hawthorne, and Thomas or Ralph Waldo Emerson. These were the people. They were writing how there was a change in the history of American literature. So to give you all a brief idea about the American literature, I would be making the next video maybe upon that. But please tell me what you liked about this video. And this video was a long video because I told you that Queen Victoria's reign is also long. She ruled from the year 1837 till 1901, and so many great changes which has happened, that is industrial revolution, scientific revolution, technological revolution. And in literature, I told you about the great novelists, the poets, and prose also, miscellaneous prose, as well as scientific innovations and scientific novelists. They have portrayed their or their life which they carried on. So I hope you all have got a very brief idea about the Victorian age. So this is it for today's video. I hope you have liked it. Please comment below what you have liked, what you have disliked, and what all things I should improve. And most important thing is, don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the button which is below here, and share this video as much as possible. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and do watch my previous videos also, wherein I have made a chronological videos upon the history of English literature. Thank you so much.